Dashboard tour. So wherever you are within Wix, if you click on the Wix icon up in the top left-hand corner, it'll take you back to the initial page where it shows you the website you might have already made in the past, and it also gives you the option to create a new site. So the dashboard I've been referring to is basically the skeleton which is behind a website. And in order for me to show you what's on the dashboard, I'm going to need to create a new site. So if I click on the Create a New Site button, and in a new tab, this will open. It'll give you the option to use AI to actually generate your website, and that's a really powerful tool, save you an awful lot of time if you want to give that a try. And it also gives you like a kind of chat to follow. You can skip this process if you want, but just for the time being, I'm going to go through the setup with a chat so you can see what it actually does for you. So we'll ask you a load of questions, and you basically type in what you want it to do and click from these options and then press continue. But in my case, I'm going to just keep pressing skip continuously until I get to the point of actually a site generated for this. And like I said, by all means, you go through this as much as you want, but I'm just going to be skipping through so I can show you what that skeleton looks like. So it's got to this point where it's generating the site for us. We're not actually going to see the site itself, but it will show us the dashboard. Ta-da! So this is what the dashboard looks like. So over on the left-hand side is a menu you can scroll up and down to look at. You can make that collapse, you can make it expand out, and there are quick actions. So this basically gives you a list of things you can scroll through pretty much in the same way as the list has here. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the dashboard is the skeleton of your website. So at no point at this stage have we actually started to make a website. If you want to think about it this way, we've done the bones for the body. We're now going to do the muscles which go onto the bones, and the actual kind of website people get to see and actually interact with. That's kind of the skin of the body. So before you actually start kind of looking into making a website or designing a site, as you might see over here on the right and on the bottom here on the left, you should really go through all of these options and fill in as much as you can. So the setup one allows you to kind of have a mess around and maybe kind of set up a domain if you've already got one set up, and it can actually do that bit for you. And you can see there's other options there. And a lot of these, as you hover over them, especially when they've got the arrow, they've got more things for you to look at. And like I said, you're basically going to be scrolling down through this and making sure you fill in as much of this as you possibly can. Now, the catalog side of things, you might not be able to do that bit yet. That's basically when you kind of add your products to sell or the services you're offering the public, because you do need to upgrade or pay to actually use that facility on Wix. So you might not have some of these things there at this stage. But like I said, the plan would be to go through each of these, fill in as much of those as you possibly can. You probably won't fill them all until you actually start to make your site, and then you'll probably end up coming back onto this in order to do so. But in terms of designing a site, we'll come to that in the next video.